I've been Stephen Brown, and with me for this episode has been Tim Feather. Thank you, Tim.
Hello, thank you. Whoa.
Hello. I think we should put that in.
I have one. No, talk so swore after. I have one word.
Hello.
Try that again.
Hello and welcome to the Route 1 Show, the podcast bringing you all the latest football action from West Yorkshire and beyond. I'm Stephen Brown, and with me in the studio this week is Tim Feather. Hi, Tim.
Hello.
Just us two this week.
It is.
And coming up on the show today, we'll have all the latest news from our teams here in the region, including Leeds United, Huddersfield Town, Bradford City, Halifax Town, Guiseley and Bradford Park Avenue. And we'll also be previewing all of the weekend's Premiership fixtures. Well, after a successful post-international break and after winning 3 games on the trot, Huddersfield, well, they came crashing down to earth with a 2-1 loss against Ipswich. And on the phone now to discuss all things Huddersfield Town with us is the Huddersfield Examiner's Doug Thompson. Hi, Doug.
Hiya, how are you doing?
I'm good, thank you. Thanks for coming on. They lost 2-1 to Ipswich. I thought they were a bit harshly done, though. I mean, I didn't see the game, but I've watched the highlights and the chances and the penalty. I mean, what did you make of it?
Yeah, I mean, really, I think a draw would probably have been a fair result on the balance of play and the chances. It's two fairly even teams, really. Town had the better in the first half.
Yeah.
Could have gone in, I suppose, 3-0, put the break. They missed a penalty. Hamill hit the bar after Danny Ward scored. Ipswich had the better in the second half, though, to be fair to them. They came back quite well. We'd obviously done the homework and tweaked a few things.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I think a draw would have been a fair result, really.
Yeah, so a bit more accurate of the match. I mean, what do you make of the Vaughan penalty miss? Since he's come back, has he not been quite off the pace since that suspension? Is there been a bit of a lacking of confidence, do you think? Yeah,
maybe not confidence, but just maybe a little bit of rustiness,
Yeah.
I think it obviously, he's a sort of momentum player, and it's a momentum game, isn't it? And that certainly broke his momentum. He was in a really good run of form before that, and it was a long, date-wise, it was a long time to be out for because of the international break and the lack of midweek games at that time.
Yeah, absolutely.
So it was a good, 5-week spell without any sort of competitive football for him, which just didn't do him any good.
No.
When it comes to penalties, he's never been the most convincing of penalty takers.
No, it's appalling, wasn't it?
Jordan Rose was similar, yeah.
I think there's some shouts.
Like to take them,
There's some shouts for Clayton, isn't there, to get on the penalty taking?
Yeah, Adam Clayton, perhaps. Adam Hamill will probably be a good bet. He's got a good shot. Danny Ward. There's quite a few candidates. James Vaughan, he's a sort of really a bit of a 50% record in terms of penalties. Certainly this season. He missed one at Ipswich last season as well, if people remember. He scored 2 and missed 2 this season. And sometimes, when he runs up to take the penalty, his body language isn't the most convincing.
Chris Waddle.
He looks like he's a bit in two minds about it all, yeah.
He's not German, is he? You can tell.
No, that's right. No. I think people say, don't they practice penalties, but I mean, they do practice penalties, but obviously you can't replicate that situation when you're doing it in front of a big crowd at a crucial moment of the game. And I think possibly Mark Robbins wanting the penalty duties to go elsewhere.
Yeah.
And I think that will happen. Well, it certainly will happen now if the man is to be relieved, and with no reason to think otherwise. Yeah.
Absolutely. Paul Dixon, he said that someone had offered them 9 points, out of the last four games. They'd have been very happy with that. I guess you're of the same opinion, considering that run going up to that international break.
Oh, definitely, yeah. I mean, considering the fact that there was, 3 away games in that period as well. It's a really good return, yeah. I don't think we should be too downhearted about the Ipswich game. Like I say, it could easily have finished up a draw, and everybody would have been fairly satisfied by that. So, I think 9 points out of 12 is good, and it's certainly given the table a far better complexion than it had before the international break, that's for sure.
Difficult game next, Reading?
Reading, yeah, another tricky one. We're just saying today that the Championship's brilliant, isn't it? Every week you get a different sort of game, a different kind of test, a different team to play against. It will pose you different challenges. A bit under the radar, really. Nobody ever talks about Reading by the looking of it, but they're obviously a Premier League side last year. They've still got a good number of Premier League players in that squad. And, it'd be a difficult game, no doubt about it, but having played well against Burnley in the last home game, no reason to think Town can't go out and win this one.
Absolutely.
Hi, Doug, it's Tim.
Hi, Tim.
Reading have been very vocal this week about putting the loss to Bournemouth behind them. Kasper Gorks has come out and said a couple of things, and he said that they're going to have to try and do it the hard way at Huddersfield. And Danny Guthrie, he's going to be missing through suspension. He picked up his 5th yellow card at Bournemouth. So they are being quite vocal about how Huddersfield's going to be a tough game for them. Do you think they're trying to possibly go for the underdog card a little bit and try and make Huddersfield feel that they're a bit weakened at the moment?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, Huddersfield aren't a pushover these days. It's not an easy game when you come up against them, either home or away, really. If you look at the odds that the bookies are giving, it's very, very tight. They can't separate them, really. And I think, Reading, obviously, Nigel Atkins is a bit of a psychological man. He likes to try and get these little dams in before games. It'll be interesting to see how it works out, really.
Absolutely. Le Fondre, he's got 7 goals, their top scorer. Is he the one that needs to be kept quiet, do you think?
Yeah, certainly. I mean, Matt Robbins obviously knows him well. He was in his team at Rotherham. But, there are 2 or 3 decent strikers. I mean, that's the real strength, I'd say, of Reading's up front. We've got Billy Sharp, obviously, and all the nemesis of Huddersfield down the years, particularly as at Scunthorpe. And Pavel Pogrovniak, if I can say it. And, another experienced player. There's no shortage of options up front, and a good midfield as well. So they'll take a bit of handling, really. And Le Fondre particularly is good at coming off the bench and making an impact.
He even did that in the Premiership, didn't he?
20 minutes, yeah.
So a score prediction, Doug?
I will go for a 2-1 to Huddersfield.
2-1 to Huddersfield, lovely. Doug, thanks very much for joining us.
No problem.
Doug, thank you. Take care, mate. Bye-bye.
Cheers.
Bye-bye. Bye-bye. OK, so, Tim, we've heard there from Doug Thompson about Huddersfield. Good run, like we said, after the international break. Bit disappointing last week. I mean, like I said, I didn't see the game, but I saw the chances. They had some cracking chances that first half. And like Doug says, they could have walked in 3-0 at half-time. Yeah,
they could. It was the Vaughan penalty, though, like we just discussed with Doug there. It was poor. I mean, it didn't even. There was no real placement. I don't know what he was trying to do with it, really, because it looked like it wasn't it. It was. It reminded me very much of Richie Jones's against Arsenal last year. I'm saying that because it was the anniversary this week. We were loving it. Arsenal can't win on the 11th of December.
Absolutely. So I've gone 2-0 to Huddersfield. I fancy him to bounce back against Reading. About yourself, what are you going for, Tim?
Doug said that he'd struggled to separate them. The bookies have struggled to separate them. I've gone 1-1.
Tell you what, let's see. Shall we just see what Alex has done now? Predictions. Alex hasn't had a good time last couple of weeks, and he
certainly hasn't.
And he hasn't been in the podcast for some reason. I can't think why. I'm not saying there's a connection there, but it's a bit dubious. So let's.
I think if David Moyes could stay away from Old Trafford.
Let's have a look. See what he said. Well, he's gone for 2-1 to Reading. Oh, controversial. You see, he hasn't had the benefit of hearing what Doug's had to say.
No, he hasn't, no.
There you go. Well, it was an incredible game at the weekend at Elland Road. It was Leeds United versus Watford, and they were 2-0 down at half-time, but they managed to pull it back, and they were even leading 3-2 at one point before Watford got a late equaliser. And on the blower now to discuss all things Leeds United, it's our Leeds United correspondent, Jennifer Berry. Hi, Jen.
Hi, good evening.
Good evening. Thanks for joining us. So we can't look anywhere else other than that Watford game. What an incredible match.
It was one of the best matches I've been to in a long time. It had a bit of everything.
Yeah.
A bit gutted at the end not to come away with the win.
Yeah, is that a disappointment, or do you have to kind of just look at the context of the entire game and go, well, we were 2-0 down at one point?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's, as opposed to 2 points lost, definitely one gained. I think we expected a bit more from Watford. Well, I say more. We expect, they're a good team. We expect them to be pushing for the playoffs at least. The first half we just really didn't get going at all. So to come out with at least a draw was fantastic, and so close in the end, but
so close. Was it? Yeah, because I was busy at the time, so I couldn't really follow the game. So I was getting Twitter updates, and I saw yours. And when it went 2-0, I tweeted you going, "What's going on? Get it sorted out, Leeds." What happened that first half? Was it just slow off the mark?
Really slow. It just nothing was happening. Leeds just looked really lethargic. Nobody really looked up for it, and then Watford. To be fair to them, they got right into us. They were, they were quick out of the box, they were quick down the wings, hit us on the breaks, some nice passing. It just weren't any match for them. But the second half, dropped out the cliche.
Yeah.
Gave them 2 halves, really.
What do you think, McDermott? Is he the hairdryer type? Do you think, or will he just have stared at them?
I don't know. I don't think he's not the one that start throwing things around or shouting. I think he'd probably be quite methodical about it. But I think it was more because it was a decent crowd and there was a bit of booing at half time. It was more just like there's a lot of people here, go and show them what you can actually do. And we know they can be better than that. They just needed a bit of a kick at the backside, and they came out like a completely different team at half time. It was strange, to be honest, but it seemed to work.
Hi Jane, I just wanted to know, was the devastation at Elland Road as much as Stephen's? Because I was with Stephen on Saturday, and it was just complete devastation when Watford scored the third.
Oh, I was beyond gutted, I think, at that point.
To be honest, I think, having been there, just the elation, even when Pugh's goal went in, even to take it back to 2-1, that was, the reaction to that goal was huge. I don't know if it was just completely if he had managed to score, but and then to go to 2-2 as well, that sort of lifted the roof. And 3-2, we were the thing is, we battered them for about 15 minutes, 20 minutes as well. And we, in fairness, I think if you can say if any other player had sort of been on the end of a few like Matt Smith's chances, we might have come away with a win. But it's just one of them things. But to be honest, I think we were still on that much of a high from the sort of the third goal going in, that even though the equaliser came, you could see it happening. We were still, even though we were good going forward, we were strong with creating chances, we were always going to concede at the back. So it wasn't much of a surprise. It was gutting, but
and that man again scoring, McCormick, he showed up again, didn't he?
Oh, he was absolutely on fire. He was everywhere for it. It was just, the quality of his play was just fantastic. Then you look at the back and Marius Lucas, he played fantastic as well. And there was a few, Mowat as well, he's really stepped up. In the second half, he was untouchable. But again, first half, I think it was just the injury to Tom Lees and not having him. Byram he just didn't look in it. It didn't look like he'd fought his way back into the game. Into the team rather. It just looked like he'd been picked because he was the right wing back. I think it's all very well saying, I suppose, but I think if Leeds had played, I think we would have had that settled in sort of back five, and I don't think we would have conceded as many, at least, and maybe go on to win, but you never know.
You never know.
What do you think of Zola's comments where he's come out and he said that the referee made a couple of mistakes, and he said that before the third goal the throw was for what should have gone Watford's way rather than Leeds'? Do you think, he says that he was delighted with a point, but do you think he's slightly bitter that they didn't manage to keep hold of the 2-0?
Very. It was after the first half. Some of the refereeing decisions were just an absolute joke, and I made a point of actually seeing who was the referee, and to my utter surprise, it was I think it was Trevor Kettle, and as soon as I saw that, I was like, that doesn't surprise me at all. I've seen him in a few games, and not even just for Leeds, just in general, and I think he's just a very poor standard of referee. So. I don't think Zola can complain in terms of it contributing to the result. I think Leeds could have had a penalty, I think, if I remember correctly. There were loads of fouls that sort of didn't go either way, so I don't think he can really have grounds to complain about that. Not more so than McDermott could have anyway. So
all fair at the end.
It was like that the Bradford City Notts County game. He doesn't seem to. He's like the school head teacher. He doesn't run. He just marches round. He doesn't seem to do anything.
I remember tweeting quite early on in the game that he was at that point I didn't know who it was, but just saying that he's definitely there for to make a name for himself. He was marching about a lot. He was gesturing quite strongly. I think he even had a word with McDermott on the touchline, or it might be the assistant.
Well, dare to say marching on together, but he's certainly not with Leeds, is he? Saturday's performance.
I remember there was a World Cup ref, and I remember being there's probably some YouTube videos about, and he sort of marches up to him and brandishes the yellow card. It was a bit like that, really. It was almost quite comedic.
So moving on to the next match, then it's Doncaster up next. They're lining 20th. Do you fancy Leeds for that one?
Yeah, you've got to really just looking on form, and we've got a pretty good history down to keep match. So fingers crossed. I'd look to be getting 3 points from that, but you never know with Leeds. You never know. What do
you think of the news about Dexter Blackstock? Then he's been ruled out for the season, so he's gone back to Forest to undergo knee surgery. Is that a bit of a bad one, isn't it? With the busy Christmas period coming up and short of options up front.
Yeah, I mean, you always want to have that sort of option, and you look at the bench, and we've sort of got, say, Polion and Elad's Juice, and well, I say on the bench, Juice isn't even really getting a look in. I know McDermott's saying he was doing well in training, but it's just not quite there yet. But you've got the options really aren't there, so you'd expect him to go out at least and get somebody on loan in January. We'd hope so anyway.
Someone got there. What do you make of this? I saw Phil Hay tweet this, saying that apparently Alan Shearer applied for the Leeds job when Warnock went in for it. I mean, what do you make of that? Do you reckon he'd have done a better job, or...?
No.
We're going by his punditry, maybe.
Yeah, going by that, we probably would have been relegated about twice over. No, I think it... Judging by what he did at Newcastle, no, I don't think he would have been capable. I mean, I don't think he would have been capable of handling such a big job so early in his sort of career. He just wouldn't have the experience. No, I think that could have gone quite badly, to be honest. Even though Warnock wasn't brilliant, I'd still take him every day.
Looking over the Christmas period then, Jen, we've got Doncaster obviously up next, and we've got Barnsley, Blackpool, Forest and Blackburn. What do you make of that as the Christmas running? Is that okay, or a couple of tough ones in there?
On the back of our form and where we are in the table, I'd say I'd be reasonably confident about getting a few wins. However, in previous seasons, especially Barnsley and Forest at this time of year, have been particularly sort of heavy defeats. So from that point of view, I'm quite nervous, especially as the Forest wins away. But I mean, I'd expect Leeds to pick up at least, say, win at Blackburn, win at Doncaster, and then to be sort of winning drawing your away games. I think we'd sort of be happy with that, I think.
Yeah. Forest don't seem to have been as strong at home this season. I think they've lost to a couple of other lower teams in the table. I think they lost to Yeovil at home as well. So there's a possibility there that you could capitalise on that.
Oh, absolutely. Then I also look at the other side of the coin where Yeovil absolutely smashed Watford, and but I hate these cliches, but yeah, it's anyone's league really, and anyone can beat anyone. And considering how Leeds sort of turned up in the first half, you don't know, you just don't know which team are going to turn up. And away from home, we haven't been sort of as strong as we have been at home. So I'd take a point from that now, to be honest.
And we've also signed ex-Southampton trainee Bole Aribie. I don't know if I've done justice to his name there. Do we know anything there, or is that a development squad thing?
I would say that's probably a development squad sort of addition. That's just me not knowing anything about him, to be honest.
We'll have to get on Football Manager, I think, and check this guy out.
Exactly, yeah. So there's some good stuff.
Lovely. Jen, thanks for coming on.
No worries, thank you very much.
Take care, see you later. Bye-bye.
Cheers.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye-bye. There we go. So that's Jen Berry, our Leeds United correspondent. Doncaster, I think, fairly straightforward. Tim, I'm being the optimistic Leeds fan. I'm going 2-0.
Well, I hate to do this to you, Steve.
I know you don't, but you clearly don't.
Just looking at Doncaster, are very, very strong at home. They've picked up wins against Leicester, QPR, Yeovil, and got a draw against Birmingham at home as well. It's been the away form.
So you do your research.
The away
you do
form
your
that's
research.
Struggling.
I just go,
So for that reason, I've gone 2-1 Donny.
2-1 Donny. Oh, well, Alex, he's gone 2-1 to Leeds. So at least me and him will fail together.
Someone's going to be wrong.
We do have to make reference to the fact that you did hammer us on the predictions this week. I think you got 13 points, and me and Alex got.
I was proud. I was actually impressed.
Was it your first win?
No, second win.
Second. Oh, no.
But I must say, at the start of the season, I never thought I'd win. I thought I'm going to go all season without winning.
Yeah, I thought that about myself. I thought, the first 2 weeks, Alex has got this sorted up. It's going to be embarrassing. He's winning bets. He's winning the predictions. Forget about it. So there we go. That's Leeds, and we'll wait and see. Right, so we're turning our attention now to League One. I'm delighted to say joining us on the phone now is Pete Chapman, our Bradford City correspondent. Hi, Pete.
Hi, Stephen.
Thanks very much for joining us. So, a break for City last week that they didn't play. In different form, I guess, but going into the Leyton Orient match, how do you see that one? Very tough. I mean, Leyton Orient, top of the league.
It is tough, as you say, Leyton Orient, top of the league. They've had a great run up until the last few games. They've only won one of the last 5, so... It's possibly the best time for City to be playing them. Yeah,
it's interesting. I mean, City, do they need to kind of kick on a bit now? They need to kind of arrest this. I mean, it's not a slide. I mean, we can't get drastic about it. But do you think they need to kind of, start getting a couple of wins under the belt now, just turn the tide slightly?
I think if they're serious about staying around the top six, then yes, they have to, obviously, because there's a team behind them. Teams that, Phil Parkinson said today when we did the interview, there are teams in there that you will know will be higher. The Sheffield United, Bristol City, probably left it too late to put a run together to get them into the promotion places, but they are certainly not going to finish up where they are at the moment.
No. A bit of an ominous quote here, I think, anyway, reading between the lines. Mark Lawn, he said, if we could, we'd sign Naki Wells on for a couple more years, but they're not sure what's going to happen at the moment. That's a bit worrying, wouldn't it, for City fans, do you think?
I think it probably is for City fans, yeah. I mean, he hasn't been allowed to talk to the press. He was giving quotes to the Bermuda press, or Barbados, whichever one it is. Yeah. But that's now been stopped as well. So that they are trying to keep it all quiet. But I think City, for all the money that was made last year, if the right bid comes in for the right amount, they're not going to be able to say no. And I think Naki's ambitious.
Hi, Pete. Yeah,
Hi.
You say about him being ambitious, and I completely agree. And why not when he's got all that talent? But I just think that I hope someone just talks to Naki and just says, look, you've got to make the right move, basically. Because I think if he goes to a club where they don't play a similar system to Bradford, with a big man playing with him, I think if they try playing Naki by himself, he's going to struggle, or even with just the wrong kind of striker next to him. Do you think that maybe someone needs to talk to him about this, or do you think someone is talking to him about it?
Well, you would hope someone is talking to him about it. I mean, I agree with you completely. If I was able to get the ear of Naki and he was willing to listen, so to speak, I would say at least wait till the end of the season. January moves very seldom work out. And maybe even do another year with Bradford City. You don't know what could happen. There's so much, football is littered with players that were the big star at their club. They make the big move, and next thing they're moving to a lesser club again.
Sorry,
I was just going to say, you say that. It was only 2 weeks ago. I was at the Riverside and I was watching Jermaine Beckford sky a penalty. I mean, for Bolton.
You're never too far from that, are you?
I'm not. I think you look at Adam Lafondra. He's starting to bang goals in for Reading now. But you look at Beckford. I mean, at the start of the season, people asked me where Beckford was, and I actually had to research to find out where he'd gone to from.
Well, Danny Calamatri is another one, another local lad. You can go higher up. I mean, Sean Wright-Phillips. The move to Chelsea just didn't work out.
Yeah, absolutely.
Scott Sinclair now.
Totally.
What do you think priced? If someone came in with a bid, how much do you think it'd take to kind of prize him away? Are we talking kind of a couple million, or do you think even less than that, or would it need to be more than that?
I'd say 3 million or above. I mean, I think there are teams out there that would be willing to throw money around, basically. And he is a hot prospect, but as Tim said, you need. He plays a certain way. He's very astute to what Hansen does. He's not the strong's the wrong word, but burliest of players. He can be knocked off the ball quite easily. I mean, he is getting stronger, but it
takes time.
It's still a very raw talent, really.
Yeah. What do you think of Andrew Davis's comments last week when he said Gale, who left Peterborough for Crystal Palace for $8 million, he said that he's not even fit enough to lace Naki's boots. Now, I know that caused a massive controversy with Crystal Palace fans. What do you think of that kind of... It shows what kind of esteem Naki is thought of at Bradford, doesn't it?
I think it does, yeah. And I mean, it's possibly a bit of hyperbole, but to some extent I think it's true. I think Naki is one of the most naturally gifted players that there is. Certainly that I've seen at Bradford City in a good few years, and he is someone. I mean, when he wasn't there was a spark missing when he was out injured, and he just seems to read the game so well. That's one of his big strengths. And even when he came back not fully fit against Wolves, he was creating chances and could well have scored.
Well, what do we know of I mean, it's difficult, obviously, because he hasn't done much press, but do we have any kind of indication of what kind of personality Naki Wells is? I mean, we've heard ambitious, but do we know what kind of lad he is? I mean, you always thought with Beckford there was a massive ego there, and he kind of followed that more than he probably should have. But do we get any sense of the real Naki Wells at all?
I think whenever I have spoken to him, which of course is last season now, he's very, very confident. He's self-assured, but he is willing to. I mean, he's always said that he always talks about what the gaffer said and things like that, and what other players have said. And now he's willing to learn, and I think I think that would be what's driving him. That he wants to learn, and maybe he's got now to the stage where he feels that he can only improve if he leaves Bradford City. But we don't know, as I say, because he hasn't been allowed to talk to anyone, which you can see Bradford City's point of view from that. They don't want gossip getting into the papers and things, and if you don't let the player talk, then he can't be misquoted.
No, absolutely not. Now, just a side note here, last week we spoke to Gordon Watson, and he told us an interesting story about at the end of his career at Bradford, where when his contract expired, he was offered the chance to continue playing for Bradford City if he paid his own contract. Now, that was a Jeffrey Richmond thing, and we put it to the forum, the Claret and Banter forum, about this, and kind of we wanted to get people's opinions on the Richmond legacy. Now, some people railed against Richmond, said that's, how can you defend something like that, or making a player who's struggled with injury come back and force him to pay to, play. But then other people on the flip side, the Richmond years, they were the most memorable in Bradford City's certainly recent history. Which side of the fence would you go on, or is it a kind of mixture of both?
I think it's a bit tough because it's a player that had his leg broken in a tie against Huddersfield. Yeah. And it's a bit tough to say, well, if you want to say you're going to have to pay to play for us, that's a bit harsh. But as you say, the glory years for Bradford City, for want of a better expression, were under Jeffrey Richmond. But also the result of those years result in where Bradford City are now because of the spending that was just willy-nilly and no thought of actually putting some of that money away. I mean, I know one of Stuart McCall's big gripes when he came back as manager was there was no under-soil heating. So matches were getting abandoned and postponed, in the winter. And he said, this club, where did the Premiership money go? And then he said, well, we all know where it went, but...
Making his point. I mean, because no infrastructure was put in, was it?
I went for a tour around the new free school that's been built up there, and they said they were giving some information about the building, and they said that when it first opened, it was the biggest club superstore in Europe. Now, why does a team newly promoted to the Premier League need a big football club store? I mean, you look at Swansea, and they've done it right. They've built up the youth system and stuff like that, and that's where City went wrong. So I'd say for the first part of the Jeffrey Richmond years, what he did was fantastic. When he went to the Premier League, it seemed like all the fame went to his head. He just went.
A few years ago, when I think Richard Digance and Chris Kamara did a book, and I interviewed Chris Kamara about it, and he doesn't have a good word for Jeffrey Richmond. And I said, would you ever go back into football management? And his quote was, I'm paraphrasing a bit, was, no, there's too many Jeffrey Richmonds around.
So he was pretty firm.
Quote there.
Yeah. Finally, Pete, just a matter of interest, because you're obviously a keen Man United supporter. What do you make of this Fergie versus Keane malarkey that's come out this week?
I think it's a bit of something and nothing. I mean, I've read the book, and I think Fergie's right with what he says about Keane. You can't have a player naming young players and saying they're not good enough. Because the next match, those players were booed when they were warming up because Keane was such a hero amongst United fans with his prawn sandwiches comments and all of that sort of stuff. And I do think Roy Keane, I think my personal interpretation of it is he is frustrated that he's not as good a manager as he was a player.
Right.
And he's never been happy since. And he's had these fallings out with various clubs, various players where he's been manager. And I think he doesn't take criticism very well at all.
No.
And I think because he knows there's some grains of truth in it as well. But it'll be interesting. I mean, Ferguson is another one, though, that doesn't like to take criticism. So
that's the TV show that needs to happen, isn't it? Keane versus Ferguson. I mean, that's box office.
Oh, yeah. That could be very interesting.
And finally, Pete, just bringing it back to Bradford City, the Christmas schedule for Bradford City. We've got Leyton Orient on Saturday, where David Moon is out and Kevin Lisbeth is a doubt, so that's their two top scorers and two of the top league scorers out.
Indeed, yes.
And then we've got an away trip down to Peterborough, which is always tough, although they have been on a bit of a rocky patch at the moment, not being as strong as they were at the start. That home tie with our bogey team, Rotherham, which is going to be a tough one, and then Swindon and Notts County. How many points would you be happy from that run of 5 games?
Well, I think one of those games, not certain, I think one of the last one might be postponed. Is that the one that's on the FA Cup weekend?
That was the Carlisle game, I think.
That's Carlisle.
That was the 4th of January. That's been rescheduled.
From those 5 games, I think if City can come away from that with, say, 9 points, they're doing well. If they get more than that, then they're doing very well. But they've got to be careful they don't come away with it. Let's say 5 from 5 draws. They wouldn't have lost, but it wouldn't be good enough, really.
No. Pete, thanks very much, mate.
Okay.
Speak to you later. Take care, mate. Bye-bye. Bye-bye.
Okay, bye.
Bye-bye. There we have it. So, Pete Chapman, our Bradford City correspondent. Well, lots of interesting stuff there. But looking at the game against Leyton Orient, I just have to tell you straight away that I put 1-0 to Bradford City. Alex has also gone 1-0 to Bradford City as well. But I've gone for a bonus point. I've gone a bonus. Wells will not score. That's what I'm saying. What do you make of that?
Wells,
yeah.
Well,
you never know.
If I'm being completely honest, I'd like to see us win where Naki Wells doesn't score, because I think that'll give the rest of the team a bit of confidence and show that we can score from all over the pitch. I've gone 2-1. I think Leyton Orient might score because they do have goals in other parts of the field. But I definitely think having...
Is that heart or head, Tim?
Well, it's primarily head, because having one of your strikers out is a toughie, but you can still probably win. But having both top scorers out, Mooney's definitely out, Lisby is a doubt. So, it could be just mind games, if you like. So that's why I've gone 2-1. I think that's it. It might just edge it.
Well.
Wells.
Now, you might have thought Halifax Town losing the last 3 games wasn't very good, but, well, they're playing a team that's lost the last 8. Up next, it's Dartford. And on the line now to discuss all things Halifax Town with us, it's Andrew Pinfield. Hi, Andrew.
Evening, Steve.
So this run of form is not great, and the Woking match, I mean, what a spectacular match. Were they 3-0 down at one point? Or was it 2-1? Did it go to 2-0 and 2-1?
Yeah, we were 4-1 down, so there was a 3-goal difference. But
what was going on? What's happening there, Andrew?
I think it's injuries that are causing the problem on the whole. Lee Gregory missing is a big loss to us. Then when you're coupled with Danny Lowe and Mark Roberts, who've been playing centre back.
Yeah, it's a makeshift defence, isn't it?
Very much so, yeah. We've got 5 loanees in at the moment, and there's just no continuity with the team performances. But for entertainment value and goals, Steve, the Shea is the place to be.
That's the place to be, is it? I mean, do we get, is it the best Christmas present they could get would be Lee Gregory coming back? I mean, but how long is he out for? Do we have any indication?
It's not going to be before Christmas, unfortunately. The 2 long-term ones are Ryan Toulson and Danny Lowe, which are looking like 3 months. And hopefully we can get Lee Gregory back in January sometime. Yeah. And there is talk of him maybe playing around Christmas time with a cast on. So we'll have to just wait and see on that one. But we do miss his goals. But having said that, we're still the leading goal scorers in the conference.
Hi, Andrew. Does it worry you a little bit that with Lee Gregory out injured at the moment, if Lee Gregory does move on in January, do you think that might show a big weakness for Halifax at the moment?
Well, it would, but then again, I mean, if Lee Gregory's not played for 3 or 4 weeks, and is somebody going to come in for Lee Gregory in January? It remains to be seen, but we want to keep him at the club. He's under contract. The chairman and manager say there's no pressure to sell, and he's our prime asset. So, I mean, if you do lose Lee Gregory, you're looking to bring in 2 or 3 players. You've got to try and get a player equally as good. It's not easy to find at this level of football, so hopefully we can keep hold of Lee Gregory, get the players back, and then really go for it again.
Could be a blessing in disguise that he's broken his hand then.
Well, that's it, because whilst he's out, then the scouts that were coming to watch him, we have noticed that a lack of scouts at the last few games, because Mark Roberts has also been under the radar, shall we say. So the 2 key assets have been out injured.
Well, it's like the food chain, isn't it? Leeds are looking at Wells, we've heard, and then Bradford City are looking at possibly Lee Gregory. It's just the way it works, isn't it?
Halifax looking at Alex Johnson.
Well, it's one of those things with Alex Johnson that he come back to bite us when he knocked us out of the Absolutely. The thing with Lee Gregory is his overall work. It's not just his goals, it's what else he brings to the team, his work rate, his hold-up play, everything about his game, his all-round game is superb at the moment, and we are missing him, that is for sure.
Absolutely. But, Dartford up next. I mean, eight games have lost on the trot. Can it be 9?
Well, we've not won away from the Shea all season. We've only got 2 points, and it's a long trip down there on Saturday. Yeah. Now I'm going at crack of dawn, so I don't want to be coming back 4-hour journey with nothing to show for the 90 minutes of football. But we'll be looking to at least get the point. And if we can get the 3 points, then it might just bury the away day hatchet, and we can go from strength to strength. Absolutely.
Andrew, thank you very much for joining us.
No problem, Steve.
Take care, mate. Enjoy the journey Saturday. Take care, mate. Bye-bye. Bye-bye. All right, so there we go. Dartford versus Halifax Town. It's one of them teams I can't imagine, 9 games on the trot would Dartford lose. I'm a bit indecisive. I haven't written a score at the moment. What are you going to go for there?
I've gone 3-1 Halifax.
You've gone for 3-1 Halifax?
I think that Dartford... I don't think they're going to have enough about them. I mean, it's 8 games on the trot, all loss.
Yeah, it's not good, is it?
It's kind of that roulette situation, isn't it, where you've got 8 reds. Do you go for another red?
Alex has gone for 2-1 to Halifax.
Yeah, I think Halifax will have enough to see them off,
Halifax. Really. I've gone 2-0 Halifax.
I think they've still got a couple of goals in them.
Yeah.
And
it's amazing, though, isn't it? This commodity of the striker. You look at all these teams and how reliant they are on this, one player. It's amazing, isn't it? Especially in this region.
Well, it's like
got some great strikers, but when they're out,
it's like that tweet I put out about every West Yorkshire team that we cover at the moment has got a key striker up front.
Absolutely.
And every time they've gone out, they've struggled. I mean, Leeds really struggled when McCormack wasn't firing. Now he is, and Leeds are suddenly flying up the table.
Huddersfield, James Vaughan.
Huddersfield, they're struggling now with James Vaughan because he's not quite on it at the moment. Then you've got Alex Johnson at Guiseley, and well, that just says it all. And Danny Forrest as well. So you've probably got 2 key men at Guiseley there, and Lee Gregory at Halifax, and
Davidson at Bradford Park Avenue.
Park Avenue,
and Wells at City.
Wells at City. I'm forgetting the Bradford teams there.
You're a bit biased. No, it's fine. Lovely. So you've gone for 2-1.
At 3-1.
3-1 rather. I've gone 2-0. We'll wait and see. OK, it's time for an update on Guiseley, so that can only mean one thing. That's right, we've got our very own man of mystery. It's Colin Robertson on the blower. Hello, Colin. What do we think?
Yeah, I think James Bond and me, very...
Listen,
very,
Chris Bell wanted Austin Powers for you, said no, we're not having that. We take this man seriously. Now, if you didn't think I could hammer a concept into the ground, you're wrong. I can kill a joke just like the best of them.
Well, I didn't like to say, but
Anyways, moving on. So, Colin, the fantastic run continues. Completely dismantled Park Avenue the other evening. Park Avenue didn't even look like getting close to Guiseley. It's a fantastic run of form, isn't it?
It's a superb run of form, and it was a great result on Monday night. I think Avenue have got a good side. They were missing a couple of players. They've obviously got some injuries. They've lost Mallory centre-half. But they also came out very brightly. And I thought, believe it or not, up to the 3rd minute when we scored, they were looking very sharp and dangerous. And it was it was a weird sort of game. But once we got the goal, Avenue pressed and they still had their chances, and they looked sharp. I don't think Saturday's game will be anything like a cakewalk based on the result of Monday night.
No.
We were comprehensive. We played well. We had to change the team. But it was a superb result and quite a pivotal one, I think, in the league season.
Absolutely. Well, I mean, it's interesting coming on to that FA Trophy game that's coming up at the weekend. I mean, I heard yourself speaking to the manager Mark Bauer after, and he says it'll probably be a completely different game as well, and it won't have any bearing what happened the other night.
Yeah, I think that the style of football that both teams want to play is more suited to a better surface. In all fairness, the Horsehall doesn't have the greatest surface.
No.
They do have trouble with water and waterlogging, and the pitch therefore cuts up a bit and is difficult to pass the ball on the ground. But Avenue have shown they can go away, they can get some great football going on their travels, and I think it'll be tough for Guiseley on Saturday. I really do. I don't think it's a foreteller of Saturday's result was Monday night's fixture.
Hi, Colin. It's Tim.
Hi, Tim.
Like we're saying, that is not going to be a cakewalk on Saturday. And it's not because they are two teams who, on their day, they can, Guiseley knocked Halifax out and Park Avenue knocked Kidderminster out, two top conference teams at the moment. Rhys Maynell last week, he said that they go to Park Avenue and get 3 points on Tuesday, which they did, and he says that the Guiseley have the confidence to go ahead and knock them out the FA Trophy as well. So a bit fighting talk there. Do you think it might be? Do you think it's a risky way to be thinking that way?
No, I think you've got to be positive, haven't you? And I think footballers, when they're interviewed, they've got to say the right things in terms of being positive about what they think they can do on the pitch. Not that Rhys will be taking part. I think he's suspended actually for Saturday. So I guess maybe that makes it a little bit easier. But generally, I think it's the right kind of mentality. I don't think they're winding things up. He's not saying anything like Avenue are not up to the mark or they're not up to the scratch or we'll blow them away. Just saying that we can go there and get the 3 points and we can get through the trophy. I think, in fairness, he's right.
Just shows the confidence that's really going through Guiseley at the moment. Yeah,
there is confidence, and I mean, you're listening to what the English cricket team are talking about at the moment. They talk about getting the right frame of mind and getting back to winning ways and talking things up and looking at the positives, whilst actually getting battered. But I think that the same thing always comes from players. They always want to be talking positively. They've always got to look at the fact that they can go out there and beat anyone on their day. At the moment, though, what's really impressive, I mean, we talk about the clean sheets, 6 clean sheets for Stephen Drench in a row. That's just incredible in my mind. It can't continue. Obviously it can't continue just by the law of averages in football. But it's that confidence that they have and the shape and the discipline and the organisation, I think, on the field that really, really shows.
Looking ahead over the Christmas period then, Colin, and we'll go through the Christmas fixtures coming. You've got Altrincham, Harrogate, Gainsborough, Harrogate, Brackley. What do you make of that as a Christmas run-in?
Well, I just said earlier on I thought that Monday night's game was quite pivotal.
Yeah.
And the reason I felt that was because suddenly it brings Guiseley within 4 points of those playoff spaces. That means we're only 6 points off the top spot, I believe. Wow. So, it suddenly means that the lineup for Christmas becomes so much more important, and we're playing all the top sides. Harrogate Town have got a great result as well midweek, are obviously going to face us twice. They're a team that are just outside the playoffs along with us. So it does sort of stack up that you've got Brackley right up there in the playoff spaces, Altrincham with the old rivals, Altrincham with James Walshaw, of course, also playing for them at the moment. It makes these games absolutely huge. So, I know it's an age-old adage that the Christmas period is so important, but I think this year it really is, and so there's some huge fixtures in there.
Is it not a positive thing, though, that for Guiseley, that 3 of the 5 Christmas fixtures are all at home, whereas you look at Park Avenue and I think they've got 3 fixtures, 3 fixtures, all away from home and only 2 at home, and they're in the new year. So surely Guiseley having Altrincham at home, Gainsborough at home and Harrogate at home, it's going to give them a bit of momentum there, isn't it?
Well, it gives you momentum as long as you get the results that you want. I mean, in some part, never really sure actually with Avenue whether they get their would have got their home games on over that Christmas period if there's going to be the storms or wet weather that you'd expect this time of year. That actually does play a bit of a part, whether you can actually get the games on, depending on the weather over this time of year.
Last year it was particularly bad, wasn't it, Colin? I seem to remember for Guiseley there was a lot of games cancelled, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, I mean, there was a real spell of it, wasn't there? And, it's difficult to keep a momentum. I mean, you take this current performance, the current sort of results that have been got, in recent weeks. If we'd had 2 or 3 postponements in there, it would have frustrated us and possibly changed the outcome of the rearranged fixtures. That's so yeah, it is important. And so going back to the original point about the home games, it does make some difference, I suppose. Avenue might actually feel that they're better off on a different surface away from the Horsefall at the moment from what I saw on Monday night.
It's getting towards that time of year where we do start seeing match postponements and things. Would you be, and it's inevitable that the debate over 3G pitches and stuff is going to come into play. Do you think for non-league teams, the non-league needs to start thinking about possibly moving that way?
No. I mean, I personally, I know there's some great examples, and Leeds United have former league club, or one of the non-league clubs that got up to league for a couple of seasons. They've shown that they can make that work. Durham City have a 3G pitch too, and on the rare occasions when you do have a complete whiteout and their games are going ahead, the inevitable question is raised. Yes, it gives them the income stream all week, and they can use the grounds for 6-a-side tournaments and what have you. I've played on grass, and I've played on even the best sort of 3G that you have nowadays, and they're just still 2 different experiences, and it's a different sort of football. And I think that you can't equate the two. I still think there's a difference. And so, yeah, there's a logical economic argument perhaps that you should invest in the 3G, but ultimately for me, I think it changes the game that you play, and not for the better.
So, Colin, if I have to push you for a score prediction against the Avenue, FA Trophy Saturday, what do you think?
I think it'll be tight. I actually thought Monday night would be a draw, so I said 1-1 in my score prediction for that. I think Saturday's going to be tough, and I hate to do the old repeating the prediction, but I have a horrible feeling it's going to be another draw, and it's going to be the 5th time that we meet this season in a replay at the Horsefall on Monday night. So I'm going to stick with my prediction of 1-1, and hopefully that'll jinx it in the way that it did the other night.
Absolutely. I will say that Chris Bell made a prediction. He said that they were going to get you back. It's going to be 3-0 to Avenue.
Well, he would say that, but then what does he know?
No, I'm only joking. Anyways, we're just trying to stir it up between you two, you see. We're going to get you on together, I think, eventually.
There'll be a fight in the press box on Saturday. You can watch it.
Well, James Bond will win. Lovely. Colin, pleasure to speak to you. Thanks very much, mate.
Cheers, guys.
Take care. See you later. Bye-bye.
See you later.
Bye-bye.
Now. Bye.
Well, we've heard from a very happy Colin Robertson, as you would expect, after Guiseley's 3-0 victory against Park Avenue at Park Avenue as well. But we've got our Bradford Park Avenue correspondent on the line now. It's Chris Bell. Hi, Chris.
Hey, mate, you all right?
I'm good, thank you. Thanks for joining us. So, I guess this is the post-mortem. What happened?
Where to begin is the question. It was all well and good for a couple of minutes, and then it all went downhill. Danny Forrest scored what was, to be fair, a great goal. He was allowed a bit too much space, though, by Jamie Price, really. But, Danny Forrest took full advantage of it, 18-yard box, cut onto his right foot and bent one in from, about 15, 20 yards.
Yeah.
A great goal. There was nothing that John Lang could do about it. And, when Park Avenue fell behind that early on, you kind of sat there and thought, oh, it was going to be one of those nights.
Yeah.
And frankly, that's how it turned out to be. The first half, it there wasn't too much to separate them, I don't think, to be honest. At half-time, 1-0 down, you're looking at it thinking, there's still definitely a way for Park Avenue to get back into it. And usually you'd see a reaction from Park Avenue in the second half. But it was very disappointing. John Deasy was absolutely disgusted with the second half performance because, he would have been expecting his players to come out with a reaction, and it just never turned up, quite frankly. And, a 3-0 loss to be fair, a much improved Guiseley side.
Well, they're on an incredible run out there, Chris, and they're
12 games or something like that. I think they've
phenomenal.
kept 6 clean sheets in a row as well in that run now. And to be fair to Guiseley, they were a completely different outfit from the side that Park Avenue met, late September it would have been, I think, in the first league meeting at Nethermore and the FA Cup tie as well.
Yeah.
Mark Bauer has done a lot with the squad that he has. Obviously one that he inherited from Steve Kittrick. He's brought in a lot of his own players. He's brought in people like Danny Bosch, obviously he's assistant manager, and he's come back to the club. And to be fair to Bosch, he had a great game. He completely outshone his brother in all honesty. And I'm not being critical of Nicky at all there, but Danny Bosch ran the show. Obviously, as you all know, I've covered Guiseley for a couple of years before Park Avenue, and he was always that man in the middle that would keep possession for Guiseley.
Yeah.
And when he left the club, last season and at the start of this season, that was missing. Bowers brought him back, and it works well because that's just what he does. He'll keep possession. It doesn't matter whether he can't find the perfect ball forwards. If need be, he'll just go back and retain possession for his side. And he did that quite a lot on Monday night. There was nobody for Park Avenue that could get close to him, really. He really did run the show from the centre of the park. As I say, a poor second half, a very poor second half, in fact, from John Deasy's side. He was less than happy, to put it mildly, shall we say.
Yeah. Was it a classic Deasy hairdryer moment?
Well, it's usually with John Deasy, I've said before that usually when it comes to, full-time, the full-time whistle goes, the players go back into the changing room, usually a 5-minute or so debrief, so to speak, and that'll be it. John Deasy will be out and away. He'll do the interview and be walking away as he's doing it into his car and away from the ground, kind of thing. That's just the way that John Deasy likes to do things. He was at least a good 15-20 minutes or so, I think, in the dressing room after the game.
Wow.
Before I got a chance to speak to him, and that says quite a lot, actually, for a man like John Deasy. He certainly had words to say. I think from what Nicky Boscher was saying, he was just more reiterating his disappointment, shall we say.
Yeah.
Is that putting it politely?
Yeah, I'd say so. He's just, reiterating his disappointment in the second half performance and the lack of fight, really. That was the disappointing thing, I think, overall, was there just wasn't the fight or the character that we've seen in Park Avenue quite a lot this season to get back into a game when they fell behind. I mean, you look at the run where, that Park Avenue run earlier in the season when they went, I think, 13 or 14 games unbeaten in all competitions. If Park Avenue fell behind, you were always confident that they would get back into it, and chances are, you felt more optimistic that they'd be fine, they'd turn around and win it, kind of thing. That just didn't happen on Monday night, and obviously, with bragging rights at stake as well, and the crowd certainly were on the backs. It was quite, it was quite a negative
vibe
atmosphere, shall we say, but fully justified, really, because you'll be hard pushed to find a worse performance from Park Avenue this season.
Absolutely.
You said about Park Avenue looking like they were going to get back into games. Recently, they don't look like they're going to get back into games. I mean, they did have an impressive 2-0 win over Vauxhall last Saturday. What would you say about Danny Forrest leaving? Because, I mean, he's been a big part of Guiseley's revival, if you like. What do you think about... Do you think maybe it's a possible mistake? Maybe it was a bit too soon?
Well, Danny Forrest is one of these players that when he was at Guiseley the first time round, if he was playing games and he was playing well, it showed. You could tell that was a player that was confident, that was raring to go at every game, kind of thing. And, yes, at Guiseley, he had his injury problems, shall we say, from time to time. He, had spells on the sideline. But generally, when he was at Guiseley first time round, when he played, he's a great example of a confidence player. If he feels loved and wanted, he can perform like he did on Monday night. I think, obviously, he was at Park Avenue at the start of the season, having been released by Steve Kittrick and Guiseley.
So reading between the lines there, Chris, DC, a bit unforgiving, really, doesn't a bit harder possibly, and it just doesn't blend with a Forest type of player.
I think DC is a manager that knows what he wants from a player, and if he doesn't see enough of that early enough, shall we say, he's not afraid to show them the door. And to be fair, Steve Kittrick was like that as well at Guiseley. The amount of players that would come to the club, have a couple of games, and a few people would think, they've done all right, but if they didn't meet the expectations of the manager, they were gone. I think John Deasy is quite the same in that respect. And, credit to him though, it works him generally. I think it's more the fact that because after Danny Forrest left, as I say, when at the start of the season, he played in the pre-seasons, he came off the bench, I think, in the first couple of league games. He didn't look that, loved and confident player, shall we say. And obviously he left, he went up to Workington for a short spell. Meanwhile, at Guiseley, they sacked Kittrick and Mark Bauer took charge, and obviously Mark's wanted to bring him back in, along with Danny Boschel. And again, it just shows that if he's wanted, he can perform, because, as you say, he's been in great form over recent weeks, and he's been a key part, really, of Guiseley's dramatic turnaround. As regards Park Avenue and Forest, I think I would have liked to have seen him stay longer, to see if we could have got this out of him, shall we say. The same goes for Lee Elam, I think, who was also there at the start of the season and went at the same time that Danny Forrest did. You kind of felt that maybe they didn't quite get a chance. But obviously, John Deasy sees a lot more of them than we as the media did at the early stage of the season. So if they weren't pulling the weight, so to speak, John Deasy's not afraid to let them know and get rid. But this is the thing, with Danny Forrest, he is just the perfect example, I think, of a confidence player, especially at this level. And you can see how loved and wanted he feels to be back at Guiseley, and obviously with Mark Barry, we'll know from their time at Bradford City together as well, back when they were younger as well. So, it's great stuff for Danny Forrest, and two great goals, it has to be said, against Park Avenue, and it really did show the Park Avenue faithful, I think, possibly what they could have been missing.
So, Chris, going into Bradford Park Avenue's Christmas fixtures, I hope you're planning an MOT for your car, because even if it were brand new, some of the mileage that you're going to have to be putting
I'm
into
doing
that.
one of them. I'm doing one of them, I know that. I'm doing co-commentary on one of them.
Hensford away, Histon away, Stockport away, which I'm pretty sure you'll be excited for, the Stockport one. It's finally...
North Ferriby.
It's fantastic, isn't it?
I'm doing North Ferriby.
Yep. I mean, this is the thing. We've got Histon away on Tuesday night after, of course, Guiseley in the FA Trophy on Saturday. Then, as you say, we've got a long away trip to Histon on the Saturday, followed by Stockport. Is that away on? Is it away on Boxing Day?
I think it is. I think it's a little Christmas present for you.
To be fair, I quite like how it's worked out. From my point of view, it couldn't have worked out any better in terms of, because the Conference North always tried with the New Year's Day and Boxing Day games to make it suddenly relatively local. Obviously, it's just a short trip across the M62 for Park Avenue, and it's the best ground we'll go to this season in the league anyway. In terms of stature of club as well, really. It's one that very much looking forward to. Stockport not doing particularly well. They've struggled to adjust, I think, as have Barrow, who also came down last season from the Conference Premier. Stockport 18th, Barrow rock bottom at the moment. It's going to be, it's one that I'm looking forward to. As soon as the fixture list came out, I was like, right, when we go into Edgeley Park, Boxing Day, that'll do nicely. Just means that I can't eat or drink too much on Christmas Day, of course.
What do you think about having four away fixtures out of 6 over this December and January period? Do you think it's going to hinder Park Avenue, or do you think it's going to help them, or do you think it's going to have very little effect at all? Because Guiseley, they have, I think it's 4 home games out of 6. I
think for Park Avenue, it's probably a blessing in disguise, actually, because of the Horsfall pitch.
Exactly what Colin said.
And quite right, because the pitch, every season, it takes a lot of stick from use and from the people that watch the players play on it as well, quite frankly. It isn't the best. From the club's point of view, obviously, there's not a great deal that they can do about it, because it's a council-owned ground. It's maintained by the council to the best of their ability, shall we say, for the services Bradford Park Avenue pay the council, for maintaining the ground and the pitch, shall we say.
Yeah.
But it is pretty poor.
Would it be, I don't know how this would work with the council, because I do know that Horsfall is also used as a county athletics stadium as well. It is used a lot during the summer for that. We asked Colin earlier about artificial pitches in the lower leagues, and in the non-leagues as well, and he said that he wasn't very fussed with it and didn't think it was a fantastic idea. What's your standpoint from a Park Avenue point of view, possibly?
I think, frankly, it'd do Park Avenue wonders, because they'd have a surface that they can rely on week in, week out. It'd be interesting to see how, the relevant footballing governing bodies and authorities, even at this level, would what they'd have to say about it. I don't think. Well, I don't know, actually. Are artificial pitches used that often at non-league level? They're probably few and far between, to say the least, I would imagine.
Colin did mention one, didn't he?
Maidstone, I think.
Yes. Is that right? Apparently they do.
Well, this is the thing. Maidstone, I think they're either Conference South or just below, sort of thing. So they're, a similar level, shall we say, to Park Avenue.
Yeah.
I wouldn't be against it. I don't think John Deasy would be particularly against it.
No.
For the simple fact that it would mean that you've got a pretty much perfect playing surface for every game. This is the thing with Park Avenue, is that pitch is a hindrance on their style of football. It really is. The Kidderminster away game in the FA Cup, in the replay, proved that, basically, because that's some of the best football Park Avenue played by an absolute country mile this season.
Yeah.
And it's because it was on a pitch that is
players like Bosch
very well maintained. And it's a great pitch for the sort of thing, and that's what Park Avenue thrive on. Is if they've got a surface to go with it, they can play some brilliant football and successful football. I think with the Horsfall, it can sometimes be an advantage because they're used to playing on pitches that badly, shall we say?
Yeah.
But let's face it, from everybody, from the players' point of view and John Deasy's point of view, they do anything for a perfect surface week in, week out. I mean, the Boston game a few weeks ago, John Deasy was... I can't even think of the adjective strong enough. He was so incredibly angry.
Perplexed.
I didn't do a post-match press conference. Apoplectic, we'll go with that one. He was apoplectic with rage. I didn't do a post-match interview because he came out of the changing room, and I was just met by
steam
that
coming out of his ears. Yeah,
it was that effing pitch that we have to put with that pitch week in, week out, etc. And that's a very edited version. He was absolutely furious. And to be fair, on that occasion, after that game, it really did cut up something shocking.
Yeah.
And, the question is, though, who does it come down to in actually the level of maintaining the pitch gets? Because from what I understand, the club pay the council per match, basically, to use the ground and the facilities and for the maintenance of the pitch. So, obviously, that's the council's job, but the question is, if Park Avenue were to pay perhaps slightly more, could the council do more to maintain the pitch?
Could they do better?
Could they do, frankly, they just need to buy a bloody heavy roller, because the one they've got at the moment, you do a better job with a paint roller.
Yeah, they need to do so, especially those type of players that they've got as well, Boschel, etc.
Well, this is the thing, they've got ball players at the club that like to get the ball down and play football, and the pitch doesn't help them at all there. So going back to the original question some time ago about having 4 away games over this festive period, that could actually help them, because if they're going to away grounds with better surfaces where they can get the ball down and play, it could help them quite a lot. It is just a hell of a lot of miles in a very short space of time, with the likes of Hensford next Tuesday, Histon a week on Saturday. That's 2 lengthy away trips for me to do.
Absolutely. So finally, getting back to then Guiseley at the weekend, if you could give us a prediction. Colin Robertson, he said on Guiseley's behalf, he said, I think we'll smash them. I've never really heard Colin. I've never heard Colin really talk like that before, so it was a bit of a surprise. But yeah, he's pretty confident.
That's a very aggressive, confident Colin Robertson. I've never seen that.
I might be paraphrasing, or just lying. I don't know, actually. I did say I'm trying to stoke up some kind of Conference North feud between you two, and eventually we're going to have you on the blower at the same time, and we're just going to let you have it out. That's what we were hoping for.
To be fair, Guiseley...
he's going down the diplomatic route now. Have you heard this, Tim?
I have.
They will very much have the psychological advantage start off, after such a comprehensive victory in Park Avenue's backyard. I think from John Deasy's point of view, I don't think he can really feel that Park Avenue could do much worse than they did on Monday night.
No.
I wouldn't like to see it if they could.
Difficult, though, is it? Can you see them getting a win?
Say again, sorry.
Can you see them getting a win? I mean, us in the pod here, we don't think. Although Tim says it might go to a replay, but I can't see Park Avenue getting anything from it, to be honest.
I don't know. I think, Park Avenue, they'll be fired up. As I said, I spoke to Nicky Boschel after the game on Monday.
Yeah.
And the word that I used or put to him for the trophy game is revenge. And that's
they like the big games, don't they, as well?
This is the thing, the word revenge came up, and that's exactly what the Park Avenue players will have on their minds going into this trophy game.
Yeah.
Also, progression in a competition that Park Avenue haven't got a great recent history in.
Player bonuses.
That's very much on the agenda as well from their point of view, and a chance of getting some money into the club, maybe some extra money that they can throw at the council to do the pitch up. So don't count Park Avenue out.
You've convinced me.
It will be a very difficult game.
I'm changing my mind, Chris. You've convinced me.
I'm glad to hear it.
3-0 guys at Park Avenue.
There's so many factors though that could swing this tie either way, quite frankly. All it takes is for guys to have a bit of an off day, Park Avenue to play like we've seen them play against the bigger sides, and they can get fired up for the big games.
Absolutely.
So I wouldn't rule Park Avenue out at all. In fact, I'm going to stick my neck out, perhaps stupidly, and go for a 2-1 Park Avenue win.
That's what we like, Chris. A bit of optimism. We'll take that.
Colin said 1-1.
That wouldn't surprise me, but at the same time, I don't want it to go to a blinking replay because that means back on the Horsfall pitch.
Hang on, am I the only one saying
another game over the festive period? So
just to be sure, am I the only one saying Guiseley will win, even though Guiseley they hadn't lost in 12?
So I think you are. So we've got Steve going for a Guiseley win.
Yeah.
I think is Tim now going for a draw and a replay?
Tim's doing a draw. Yeah, Tim's saying a draw. And you're going Park Avenue.
Park Avenue can nick it.
And Colin Robertson, the Guiseley correspondent, is saying a draw.
So you are the only one.
I'm the only one saying Guiseley. Yeah. I'm going to text Mark Bauer just saying I believe in you.
The only thing that's springing to mind now is if it does go to a replay, it would usually be on the following Monday.
Yeah.
Now, obviously, Park Avenue are in action against Hensford on the Tuesday night, when the hell they'll try and squeeze that fixture in, I don't know. If we're lucky, they might postpone the Hensford game till a warmer time.
Yeah, right.
Just play the trophy game instead.
Yeah.
But we can but hope anyway. But no, I'll stick my neck out, and I think because of how bad Park Avenue played on Monday night, they owe it to the fans, quite frankly, to put in a much better performance. And I think, even if they do lose, and, it's only a narrow margin sort of thing, as long as they can come out with that game with a lot more pride and passion than they showed on Monday night, then the supporters will be relatively happy, I think, all things considered. But I'm going to stick with it. I'm going to go for a 2-1 Park Avenue win.
Very
just to annoy Colin.
Very good. Chris, thank you very much, mate.
No problem.
Pleasure to speak to you.
Care.
Take care, mate. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
So there we go. So Tim, we've revealed what we're thinking for the Park Avenue guys who won. It's going to be a fascinating tie, though, isn't it? It's close.
It's going to be fantastic. Yeah,
it's going to be great. It's going to be on BCB 106.6 FM as well. So do tune in for that one. But we'll have plenty to discuss next week if we've got a show next week. We're still trying to figure that out, aren't we, Tim?
We are,
scheduling conflicts, but we'll see what we can do. So it remains to be seen. That's Guiseley versus Bradford Park Avenue in the FA Trophy. Now, there was a documentary on ITV for the other night, Tim, I texted you about. It was Patrick Vieira versus Keane, The Best of Enemies, it was called. fascinating stuff. It was all about their history together, their relationship, the battles on the pitch. But a lot of people commented, and it was blindingly obvious from the start, that Roy Keane seemed to have a little bit of an axe to grudge, and it wasn't against Patrick Vieira. Let's listen in now from a clip from that TV show, what Roy Keane had to say about his former manager, Sir Alex Ferguson.
The two words the manager, and he spoke to me about a number of times, was control and power. That was how he worked. I think we can clearly see that because he's still striving for it now, even though he's not a manager. I don't think that will ever leave him. I think there's massive ego involved in that. You know, you have a power and control over people, and then you try and have it over people even when you're not working with them.
Who's the best manager you played for?
Without a doubt, Brian Clough.
Not Sir Alex.
You asked me the question, I answered you.
He says you didn't like the John Manier issue.
I thought that was wrong, absolutely. It can't be good for the football club. It can't be. If a manager of a football club is, having legal trouble or taking legal action against major shareholders, if people don't think that had a negative effect on what was going on at the club, then they are living in cuckoo land.
Pounding every blade of grass, competing as if he would rather die of exhaustion than lose, he inspired all around him. I felt as if it were an honour to be associated with this player. Sir Alex Ferguson on Roy Keane versus Juventus, 1999.
He didn't put that in his last book, did he? No.
Not in the last one.
Okay.
The one before that.
Okay. Stuff like that kind of almost insults me. What am I supposed to do? Give up? Not cover every blade of grass? Not do my best for my teammates? Not do my best for my club? To be honest, I actually get offended when people throw quotes like that at me as if I'm supposed to be honoured by it.
So Roy Keane there, he's offended by compliments, apparently. Tough stuff there, and it's interesting to see the breakdown of this relationship. I mean, he played under Ferguson for 12 years, massive success, numerous titles, a Champions League, FA Cups, and then it's kind of descended into this bitter argument after, what do you make of it, Tim? And that's the first time you've heard that clip. What do you think?
I think we need to get the two of them on Jeremy Kyle and get this sorted out. Let Graham sort it out.
It'd be great if it turns out Ferguson's his dad. that extra twist. That would be brilliant.
No, it's been very bitter as Roy Keane, and like you said there, he seems a very tough man to please. I mean,
yeah. Well, Pete said it as well. Pete said that he doesn't take criticism well, and there's no doubt Ferguson criticised Keane, and perhaps Keane hasn't been as successful as a manager than people hoped or thought, or he himself thought or hoped. But it does seem, it seems remarkable, doesn't it? Because everybody else has kind of this respect for Sir Alex, and they don't say a word against him. Even people like Beckham, who have been criticised him but still say they massively respect him. Keane is the opposite, isn't he? Keane has just kind of laid his cards on the table, hasn't he, with that one?
Yeah, I personally don't have much time for what Keane says. I take a lot of it with a bit of salt, and I think that sometimes he's trying to play up to this hard man kind of attitude that he's got. And Keane was a good player when he wanted to play, but then you see times like with a Haaland tackle and stuff like that. I mean,
there was a nasty edge to it.
I mean, we spoke to Gordon Watson last week, and then you saw Keane on Haaland. I think that one was slightly worse than what happened to Gordon. But
they actually asked him in the documentary.
You've got to take criticism from that. You can't
walk away unscathed. And I agree with you a little bit there. I disagree with you in the fact that I think he's got every right to kind of air his grievances in this way. I think after 12 years of success at a club where you were the captain, and, you've put yourself about, I think he has every right to kind of respond to what Sir Alex is saying. Has it been, in the best way possible? I don't know. I mean, he gets asked a question, he gives an honest answer to what he thinks. Is he bitter? I think he's in danger of being...
How long has he been retired?
It's a fair few years.
So he's had a chance to air all these grievances in this time. He could have written a book himself if he wanted about his time at Man United.
Yeah.
For me, Fergie wrote a book, right? And the reason in my head that he wrote this book is because whilst he was manager of Manchester United, it was a secretive world. He made decisions, and everyone on the outside was like, why did he make this decision? What's going on there? And he wasn't allowed to say anything. He had been battered by the media, and basically his answer was no comment. I'm not allowed to say anything because, like, why did Stam leave? Why did Beckham leave? What happened with this player? All this kind of stuff, right? He's written a book now to finally get his story across and say, this is why I did it, this is what happened, how events transpired in the manager's hot seat. And I just think for Roy Keane, I think he's just trying to make it all about him again. And I think, for me, he's gone about it the wrong way as Roy Keane, and to be perfectly honest, I don't have any more respect for him.
No. I put a tweet out there, I don't know how far you agree with this, just to wrap it up, saying that has some of the shine been taken off Alex Ferguson's legacy in terms of the amount of player fallouts and the amount of bitchiness and that seems to have come out after it, the whole things with Ruud van Nistelrooy, Stam, Beckham. There seems to be kind of it's an amazing successful period he had at Manchester United, but is it I don't know, is there some bit of shine taken off with all this unpleasantness, or does it not matter if there was successful?
I think behind every great manager there is some unpleasantness, if you like.
You said that quite ominously then. I'm a bit worried now. Do you know something that's going on at Bradford City or something?
You look at Brian.
What is Phil Parkinson up to?
You look at Brian Clough and what happened at Leeds with him, how he let his ego get in the way. Then you look at Ferguson himself. I mean, you can even come down to Line of Honour and see what Parkinson said to Guy Branston. Yes, Branston, take him which way you want, but Parkinson's done a great job at Bradford, and he's been successful. Now, I think sometimes to be a successful manager, you've got to make the cutthroat decisions. Look at Jose Mourinho dropping Casillas. You've got to be able to make these decisions, and I think it proves strength of character that you can make those decisions and come out unscathed. It depends how you want to read Ferguson.
How you want to do it. Excellent. Right, we're going to have a look at the Premiership now and preview all the weekend's games coming up, and it's an absolute stomper to start with. It's Manchester City versus Arsenal in the 12:45 kick-off on Saturday. Right, well, Tim, loads to discuss here. I guess you could look at the what happened in the Champions League this week. Man City, fantastic win against Bayern Munich, although Pellegrini apparently got it wrong. Didn't realise that if Man City would have won 4-2, they would have topped the group. Guess, though, still any win against Bayern Munich, especially when you've been 2 down, is incredible.
Yeah, didn't Man City have that in the Premier League once, where someone told them they only needed a certain amount of points to stay up, and actually
don't send the striker on. We're relegated. What? What's going on here? Milner as well. What a performance by James Milner.
Fantastic performance by Milner. And I think it shows that maybe I wouldn't say. The only reason I'd say is possibly too good for Man City is because he should be playing week in, week out. Another club he would be in there. And
some players get really harshly judged, though, don't they? Especially when you put them in the England spotlight. People are very critical, aren't they, if they're not absolutely outstanding.
I'd put him as one of them players who, he doesn't seek the light or anything. No. The limelight. Sorry, he'll do what he's told.
He's boring James Milner like that Twitter account. That's what he is. Would you have it?
I love the tweet that they put out. They went, we were losing 2-0 and then we scored 3 and we won 3-2.
Would you have him in your team? Say if you could put a squad of 25 together of current Premiership players, would there be a spot for a hard-working grafter that follows instructions from Milner?
Yeah, because he can come in off the bench after having 2-3 weeks out and
no mourning,
just perform. And by the way, another English player that I thought performed well on Tuesday that no one's mentioned, I thought Joe Hart pulled off a couple of good saves.
Everybody's keeping. Doesn't fit the narrative, does it?
No one said anything about him now, have they?
Doesn't fit the narrative when he's doing well.
I'm part of the goalkeepers union. It annoys me.
So and then their opponents, Arsenal, who got probably football lessons too far to say, but certainly second best first half against Everton, and then kind of fluffed the lines a little bit midweek against Napoli. They could have topped the group if they'd have drawn, but then they kind of succumbed to a 2-0 loss towards the end.
Yeah, I think it showed how important the win at Dortmund really was.
Yeah, absolutely. If you think they hadn't got that,
there were a couple of players that Wenger said that he wasn't resting anyone, but you know secretly he was resting a couple of people for Saturday's game.
Yeah.
I think Wilshere was rested, Ramsey was rested, so I think they're going to come in on Saturday.
Arteta was silly, wasn't he? I mean, a man of his experience, and
shouldn't do anything, especially with European referees, because they will blow up with that.
So it's a cracking game then. I mean, how do you see that one going Saturday then?
I think I really don't know, because Man City really are strong at home, but then Koscielny and Vermaelen at the back. Sorry, Mertesacker, not Vermaelen. Koscielny and Mertesacker at the back have been.
Alan Hansen now likes Mertesacker. Well, apparently
they have been strong, and I think it could be Man City's first loss at home.
Oh, big call! You reckon?
I think so.
Wow.
I don't know how confident as I am, but I've gone 2-1 Arsenal.
You've gone 2-1 Arsenal. Well, Alex has gone 2-1 to Man City. I've gone 3-1 Man City. I think they'll probably have a little bit too much, I think.
If Arsenal win on Saturday, that is when people will start saying, oh yeah, these are real title favourites now.
Absolutely.
I think they are now at the moment.
There's something still a little bit soft about Arsenal, though? Just a little bit vulnerable.
If there's one thing I would say Arsenal have got, it's consistency. They are consistent, whereas Chelsea, Man U and Man City keep fluffing up against teams who they shouldn't be fluffing up against. And I think that Arsenal's away record speaks for itself, and the fact that they were able to go to Dortmund, of all places, and on a Tuesday night
and grind it out.
So that's why I've gone for Arsenal. And let's not forget, we've got the Opta stats in front of us. They are the most prolific team at Man City, scoring 28.
So you never know.
Opta never lies.
Opta never lies. Now, Cardiff versus West Brom. How do we see that one going? I've gone 2-1 West Brom there. I've gone 2-1 West Brom.
I've gone 2-0 Cardiff. The Cardiff City Stadium is a tough place to go.
True. Well, Alex has gone 1-1. He's gone 1-1 in that one, so that's going to be this is going to be winners and losers there. Chelsea versus Crystal Palace. I fancy Chelsea for this one. I've gone 4-0 to Chelsea.
I've gone 2-0 Chelsea. I don't think Pulis is going to make it easy for Chelsea, unless he plays it too open. But knowing Pulis, he won't play it.
Judging by this Opta stat, it'd probably help if Crystal Palace went in front, because Chelsea have gained more points from losing positions than any other team.
Yeah, well, you never know. Palace could win 1-0.
Yeah, he might just go on, let them score one. I've gone 4-0 to Chelsea. What have you gone for again?
2-0 Chelsea.
2-0 Chelsea, and Alex
Demba Ba to score.
Demba Ba.
Put that down as my.
Going to do that, right? Write that one down. Yeah, Demba Ba.
I think they've found someone there, and I think that maybe, it's going to start something off for Ba, because he is a good player, and I liked him at Newcastle. I'll tell you, when I first saw him in a Chelsea shirt, it's like seeing your girlfriend with a new guy.
Yeah,
just
dagger through the heart. What do you make of this Lukaku thing then? Do you think Mourinho deserves the pelts he's been getting for it?
Well, possibly, but then you don't know what's gone on between the two of them.
No.
Mourinho does like his strong strikers, though, doesn't he? And he did like Drogba, and why can't Lukaku be that player?
It's probably better for Lukaku's development, though, isn't it? He's playing every game. Everton, Fulham. Everton with a cracking performance against Arsenal, and my man Ross Barkley.
Player.
Come on.
That Delphin, I can't say his name. Delphineu, I can't say his name.
Oh, the Barcelona loan.
I do remember trying to sign him on Football Manager. And I couldn't get him.
Yeah, there was wages or something. It's not good. Just quickly, briefly on Ross Barkley. Got to go to the World Cup, hasn't he?
Yeah, and I think I put all that down to Roberto Martinez. I've always liked Roberto Martinez. He's a very honest manager. He's always willing to give the youngsters a chance, and especially 2 weeks ago when Everton beat Man U, I was a bit like, maybe Man U made the wrong choice with Moyes. Maybe he should have gone for someone like Martinez, because the contacts that Martinez has got in Spain, it's just phenomenal.
And they're the peak of the sport. Do you think, though, he's got lucky in terms of this great defence? He could never get a defence at Wigan sorted out. People have made comparisons to when Wenger went to Arsenal, and he had that George Graham defence, Adams and Keown, and then he added all the attacking flair. There's kind of a bit of similarity there.
I think it was difficult for Martinez at Wigan, because Wigan were the kind of team where if they got a really good player and another team came in for him, they had to sell them.
Yeah.
Whereas I think at Everton, Bill Kenwright's got it set up a little bit more where, unless it's an unbelievably stupid amount of money, then they'll sell. But I think they have a bit more about them to keep some of these players like Tim Howard, who's, like Leighton Baines, to be honest.
Basically just couldn't buy a decent defender at Wigan. That was basically, he couldn't afford it, could he?
Well, no, he couldn't bring anyone in. And I bet if you think about the wage structure with Wigan as well, I think that would be slightly different to Everton.
Do you think Barkley's a slight risk in overhype, and suddenly he's going to be the saviour of English football?
Yeah, I think you go. Some people are.
I mean, this Gaza thing I've heard comes up again. There was a brilliant quote, someone saying, "Well, Wilshere was meant to be the new Gaza, so what's he now? He's the new old Gaza, and Barkley's the new Gaza."
Wasn't there a point where Rooney was being mentioned as the new Gaza as well? I think just let the lad play football, keep him protected, don't throw him into the England setup straight away, work him into it. Even let him get some more under-21 experience, because, like I said, for me, the under-21s is you're playing against players you'll be playing against in 2018, 2022, so forth.
Absolutely. So I've gone 1-0 Everton there. What have you gone?
I've gone 3-1 Everton.
3-1 Everton.
I think Lukaku might start turning it on again.
Alex has gone for 2-0 to Everton there. Newcastle Southampton. This was a difficult one. I've sat on the fence completely. I admit I've gone 1-1. Two good teams. I can't really separate. I think the Geordies at home.
I'd say get the trumpets out. It's going to be goals galore in my opinion.
Do you think?
I do.
I think you're probably right, actually.
I've gone 3-2 to Newcastle.
3-2 to Newcastle, blimey. Alex has gone 2-1 to Southampton.
I can see that happening. I mean, Southampton...
It's one of them, isn't it? It could,
I tell you what, I'd take a point there. And if Southampton won, as long as Newcastle put in a good performance, I'd be happy.
When you're watching a Newcastle game, because you are a fan of theirs, what are the signs, say, from when the game kicks off? What are the signs when you go, this is going to be a good Newcastle performance? And what are the signs when you go, oh, it's not, can just tell? What are some of the telltale signs, you think?
Genuinely when Cisse starts.
So if he starts, throw your pens down, it's over.
You can just tell, sometimes... when Newcastle, when they play as a team, they're absolutely fantastic. But when they start going off into their individual mindsets, like you have Ben Arthur running and just shooting from anywhere, and Santon running up the left wing and not getting back, because in my opinion Santon is more a left midfielder, and I'd love to see him on the left midfield.
Is he left-footed or right-footed?
He's left-footed,
right.
Santon, it is quite funny. I urge anyone to go to St James's Park. Even as a neutral, it's absolutely fantastic. Just hearing all the fans shouting Shola. If anything ever goes wrong, they'll shout Shola, even if he's nowhere near it.
Even if he's nowhere. Fantastic. So, it's the rivals. Sunderland, they're away at West Ham. I mean, Sunderland have been playing decent football, and
unlucky.
For how many winning positions have they tossed away recently? West Ham are in a terrible rot at the minute. They can't get anything at all, really. How do you see that one? I've gone 1-0 to West Ham, I think, at home.
Yeah, I've gone 2-0 West Ham. I think they're going to have that luck again. All Poyet needs is just that bit of luck and things.
They're falling further and further behind, though, aren't they, with the points? I mean, Crystal Palace have flown up now, and it's getting harder, isn't it?
It's really tight. I mean, this team's probably sitting in 11th, 12th. We need to start thinking about things a little bit.
Absolutely. So what have you gone there?
I've gone for 2-0 West Ham.
2-0 West Ham. Alex has gone for 0-0 in that one. This is my wacky one of the week. I've gone Hull City versus Stoke. I've gone 3-3. 3-3. I just thought, come on. Yeah, exactly. I thought, why not? Why not? What about yourself? What are you fancy there?
Well, I've stuck with Hull because they've only lost one game at home this season. So I've gone 2-1 because Stoke's away form isn't fantastic, but Mark Hughes really seems to have found a system with Peter Crouch and Ireland up front, hasn't he?
Yeah, Stephen Ireland's come back from the football wilderness, hasn't he?
He has. He's kind of made it into that big striker, little striker kind of thing. And I think Walter's going off earlier in the game last weekend really helped him.
Yeah, because he was a big focal point for Pulis's team, wasn't he? But it's not quite the same under Hughes. So moving on to... did I give Alex's prediction 1-1? I did.
You did.
He's gone 1-1. I've gone 3-0. You've gone
2-1.
2-1 to Hull. Sunday's games, Aston Villa versus Manchester United. Now, Manchester United always do well at Villa Park. Obviously not the same Man United as in recent years. I just can't see them not, winning this game. I just can't. For all the life of me, I just can't see it. So I've gone 3-1 Manchester United. What about yourself?
I've gone 2-1 Man United, but I remember saying that about Man City.
Well, Alex has gone 2-1 Man United as well. This Moyes thing, where do you stand on it? Is it has he inherited a situation that's difficult? Are his tactics not attacking enough for a club like United? Has Ferguson left him with a bit of a poor squad?
I think
it's a combination of all three, right?
Yeah, I think definitely. I think also teams are now not scared of Man United.
No, they've lost the fear factor, haven't they?
Yeah, they've lost that. Teams won't set up against them. They'll set up to go at them more than anything. And we alluded to it last week, the central midfield pairing. I think it was someone has come out and quoted this week saying Everton has one of the best centre midfield pairings in the league.
Absolutely.
And Arsenal take your pick, but Man United, Giggs,
just nothing, is there?
I think they were, Giggs probably wouldn't make it into many other Premier League. He wouldn't even make the bench in some Premier League. No matter how, I know he's fantastic and he's a legend.
Roy Keane said, though, just because you've played for a club a long time doesn't mean you're any good.
I mean,
that's his teammate.
This sounds stupid, but I'd still take a Giggs at Bradford City. The way that I can still play in a commanding position like he played against Leverkusen. But you've got to think you need someone in there who's more creative. There isn't any creative players in there.
They're on about possibly Barkley, but I think that'd be a mistake for Barkley. If he went there, I could see him not barely getting a game under Moyes like he did at Everton.
Well, you don't know. But at the moment, Man U don't have the position to choose, really, do they?
No. Norwich versus Swansea. Oh, sorry, did I get your scores there? Sorry.
I said 2-1.
Alex has gone 2-1 to Manchester United as well. Norwich versus Swansea.
This is my wacky one.
What have you gone?
I've gone post-Europa trip.
Blues.
Hanover. Yeah.
Right, yeah.
We all have them when we come back off holiday.
Yeah. And Swansea are no different.
I've gone for 3-1 Norwich, because when they do score, they get the bit between the teeth, don't they?
Yeah,
keep going.
They can strike them out. I've gone 2-1 Norwich. Alex has gone 1-0 to Norwich, so we're all sitting on the Norwich side of the fence there. Final game of the weekend. It's the 4:00 kick-off on Sunday. It's another huge game. Tottenham versus Liverpool. I would say praise to Andre Villas-Boas. I think they've responded well after that Man City drubbing. I think he's had a lot of stick in the press. Maybe he didn't react to it, best by even reacting to it. But fair play to the bloke. I think he's. Apparently he was close to getting the sack. A couple of late wins, and they're back in it again. Yeah,
I think I completely took my hat off to him. I think he's been a fantastic manager at the moment, and I think Tottenham just need to gel together. When you get a lot of these new players in, they all need time to even just settling into living in London as well.
Yeah, I mean, people don't really appreciate that.
No, they don't appreciate getting their family over and stuff like that. So I think that he's trying to work with what he's got at the moment and trying to put them all in. And I think some of the signings weren't actually his signings, were they? So
no.
That's always a difficult situation, like Mourinho found with, I think it was Shevchenko at Chelsea. I think that was more Abramovich, wasn't it?
Yeah, so it's post-Bale year as well, isn't it?
It is, yeah. It's trying to find that new thing. But Liverpool have fired more shots on target than any other team in the top flight.
Oh, well, let's see.
I've gone 1-1.
Well, they've probably got the player of the moment, haven't they, in Suarez? They've probably got the outstanding player.
They have, yeah.
He's just phenomenal, isn't he?
He can win a game on his own. I mean, I think there was a poll last week on Match of the Day, which was, who would you rather have, Aguero or Suarez? I went with the Suarez one purely for the fact that you can trust Suarez to do a job on his own. Aguero, you'd probably need a couple more influential players around him. Whereas
Suarez,
worked
with him in Negredo, but
I think the world's best players are the ones that can grab a game and just go, this is how we're going to go.
Absolutely.
And it's going to come my way.
So what have you gone for then? I've
gone for
Sunday
1-1. I think Tottenham might.
Oh, look at us, we've all sat on the fence. I've gone 2-2. Alex has got 2-2 as well. I'm going to make a prediction. I'm going to say. I was going to say Suarez to both goals, but no, I'm not going to do it.
No? Chickened out.
I've chickened out. No, I've lost it. So there we go. That's the predictions for the Premiership games this weekend. Right, well, that's all we've got time for here on The Route 1 Show this week. You can download and subscribe to The Route 1 Show on iTunes for free and catch the latest episode on our YouTube channel as well. And don't forget to follow us on Twitter at The Route 1 Show, and you can email us any questions or comments at theroute1show@gmail.com. Also, check out our blog, theroute1show.tumblr.com. I've been Stephen Brown, and with me for this episode has been Tim Feather. Thank you, Tim.
Thank you.
And thank you to all our contributors on this week's episode.